course I picked the chair that is the squeaky chair. Maybe I just need to stop moving as I talk. Be stiff as a board. Well, hello everyone. You may notice that I have something going down with my voice. There's going to be probably quite a bit of cuts because of having to clear my throat and stuff like that. I'm just getting over stuff. So today I wanted to talk about the idea about how would I simplify this to the bare bones? It would be options open. What does that look like when you apply that to your deciders? So I know that Dave and Shan talk about options open, I guess that would be the terms. So options open pathways, that's referring to OE. So that's the goal of OE is just to keep those pathways open. And the goal for OI would then be to narrow down on those pathways. And so that would be one of the differences that you can hear when people are talking. I'm here to propose that the same thing may happen also in the, that was the observer spectrum. So this would be the decider spectrum. And so when I think about, like, for myself, I've always kind of wondered like where this kind of fits. And not that everything is going to fit into this system and the theory, but I feel like it should fit because it sounds very similar to me. This instance, what I'm talking about is for Savior DE, the goal would then be to keep your options open with people. So instead of with pathways, although pathways could be involved, with people, what we're talking about is, for example, I know for myself, something that I am very cognizant of is keeping options open with people in regards to not burning down bridges, because I know in the future I might need some of these people in the future. So I don't want to burn any bridges now because in the future I may need help, advice, etc., whatever. And so therefore I am very cognizant of, and the desire to not close down these communication lines is very strong. And so not to say that a DI savior isn't thinking about that, because of course there's whatever, we all do everything. But like, bear with me here. If a savior DI is looking more to themselves to find the answer, then they're not necessarily as dependent on others to give them whatever advice. It's whatever, anything that they need. They're not as dependent on others to do that. They might depend. Now, if you're a double decider, then you might depend a little bit more than if you're a single decider DI. But ultimately, when it boils down to is, of course, spectrum wise, you have way over on one end, double activated DE, lead DE. So those EJs are like most cognizant of not burning down bridges, keeping those communication lines open for future use, possible future use. And then you have way over on the other end where you have the DI, lead DI, so IP, saviors, and let me also add in there play demon, where they're not as, maybe they're more willing to burn down those bridges because they're okay with closing the lines of communication. And so I just was thinking about this the other day, and I thought, wow, that's another way to look at this whole opening of pathways and closing of pathways, because that's something that I am very cognizant of. In fact, okay, so maybe cognizant is not the correct term to use, because I believe that we're all cognizant of these things, but my actions, so therefore, like yes, there is a little bit of behavior when we're talking about this, because I might be aware of something and then I do one thing. I'm aware of something, or I might do another thing. And so it's kind of like they are kind of commingling. Even though we want to think it's all about cognition, the cognition leads to action, behavior, etc. I mean, that's where your life piles come from, because if it all was happening inside your head, then nobody would be actually able to identify what your voids are, because it's when we interact with the outside world that our voids are actually more exposed. So I think if we want to try to say and to sever the connection between motivation and action, we would be at a loss, because they are connected. So you might be cognizant of something, but your actions are really dictating more towards what your desires are, your human needs, your fears, etc. So me keeping my open communication, my options open with people, it's because I rely on people. I put a lot of trust into people, and so therefore I'm going to keep as many options open. I'm not going to burn down bridges. But on the other hand, somebody might be very cognizant that they're going to be burning down these bridges, and they're doing so because they're okay with that. That's their human need, is to retreat back to themselves, to etc. So I thought this was a very kind of interesting take on the whole opening of pathways. The focus is different, but the objective is still the same. I would love to know what you have to say about this. Does this make sense to you? Are you seeing something very similar? Maybe you have a different spin on it. I would love to hear, because this is just baby thoughts, and I want to develop these baby thoughts into toddler thoughts, and etc. I will see you next time. I hope you have a great week. Bye.